Christopher Nolan first broke onto the scene in 1998 with his debut film, Following. A story about an unemployed writer stalking the streets of London looking for inspiration was certainly a personal one for him, and it led to both success in festivals and with critics. With this success of Following, Nolan was then able to move forward with what I believe to be his best, or at the very least, my favorite of his films. Released in 2000, Memento became Nolan's true breakout feature film, garnering a plethora of awards and accolades, and even picking up an Oscar nomination for its screenplay. Written by Christopher and based off of a short story by his brother Jonathan, it's in this screenplay that lies the film's most well-known aspect. Memento is the story of a man, Leonard Shelby, who has lost his ability to create memories after a tragic accident, essentially eliminating any form of short-term memory. Now, anyone who's seen one of Christopher Nolan's movies knows that he loves messing around with time, and this film is certainly no different. In order to actually put you into Leonard's shoes, Nolan found a way to take away our own short-term memory as an audience. He came up with the idea to tell the entire story in reverse. Starting from the end, we move backwards until we reach our climax, which in this case is really the middle of the story. We also follow a second, more traditionally structured timeline throughout the film. Nolan continuously cuts back to a black and white series of events, which is actually moving forward in time like any other story would. These two alternating timelines eventually cross paths at the end of the film. Now, when explained like this, the story structure may sound overly complicated, but when you actually watch the movie, you'll find it's not too hard to follow, and it really only serves to enhance the storytelling. Now, there are some people who criticize the nonlinear way in which the story is told. They might claim that the overcomplication is simply a gimmick, and that it's only done to make the movie seem better or more prolific than it really is. Fortunately, this couldn't be less true. What Nolan does here is what I think to be one of the greatest examples of nonlinear storytelling in cinema. It perfectly balances the line between complicated and comprehensible, and the purpose it serves in the story is extremely relevant. Instead of just telling us that Leonard has no short-term memory and letting us imagine what he might be feeling, Nolan found a way to actually put us inside Leonard's head, essentially taking away our own memory as an audience. Just like Leonard, we are constantly wondering how we got to where we are. When Leonard wakes up in the bathroom, bottle in hand, his immediate reaction is to question how he got there. Naturally, as an audience, we're now wondering the same thing. We're never wondering what happens next, we're always wondering what happened before. This sort of questioning and surveying miraculously keeps up throughout the entire film, with every new scene feeling like a sort of soft reset. It's a movie viewing experience unlike any other, and the disorientation you feel while trying to put the pieces together is an adventure like no other. We're stuck inside the mind of one of the world's most unreliable narrators, and, just like Leonard, we don't know if we can believe anything we hear. The only things in the film that feel at all credible to us, and to Leonard, are the notes that he keeps. We hold on to them, trying to keep track of them all as we continually move backwards. As we learn how each note was written, we start to rely more and more on the truth that we assume is behind them all. It's not until later in the film that we start to see Leonard using these notes as a way to trick himself, and with the help of a berating Teddy, we start to wonder if even these absolute truths that we've been relying on so heavily are actually fabrications themselves. This idea comes to complete fruition at the climax of the film, when we see Leonard set himself up for the ultimate form of self-destruction. We finally learn the truth behind the one note we've been questioning the whole film, and it completely transforms the entire series of events we just witnessed. Now, putting aside all the plot and narrative structure, Memento also exhibits a tremendous amount of pure style, with something of a noir-esque aesthetic that carries itself throughout the entire film. From the Los Angeles motel setting, to the Polaroid pictures and handwritten notes, to the abundance of visual flair that surrounds our main character. The spiky, bleached blonde hair contrasting with the expensive, oversized suit, and the flood of sporadic tattoos whenever he removes his shirt. It all comes together to create such a visual style that all just feels so cool. There aren't many movies that can create such a serene and appealing style so effortlessly. Early Tarantino, Scorsese, or even some Coen films definitely fall in the same ballpark, but there's something about Memento that feels just modest enough to never get old. Memento is truly a one-of-a-kind movie. It's by far my favorite Christopher Nolan film, and it's one of the best breakthroughs of all time. There's an insane amount of details to unpack, and you're guaranteed to discover something new on every viewing. It's got such tremendous style, and its unorthodox narrative structure is able to give it an unparalleled form of suspense that you really can't find in any other movie.